I am John, Wookiee impersonator, and a Ladrin warlock with the Warriors of the Stars. Along came Jason, my bearded friend. Fabulous secret ideas were revealed to me the day he came to my house and said, "I want to make a podcast!"
Hello everyone out there, and welcome back to the Super Awesome Geek Show. Today I've got returning guest Sam Johnson of Geek Girl Comics. Sam, how you doing?
I'm okay. How are you, John?
Pretty good, pretty good. How's things been since the last time we chatted?
Good. Building things with Geek Girl. We did a Kickstarter which went well, and off the back of that, we've got the second book, Geek Girl Crime or Trade paperback, about to come out. The art's done on issue 5, so it's all coming on nicely.
That's good. It's good to hear. I like that the adventures of Ruby Kaye and Summer continue. You know,
absolutely ongoing now.
Yeah. So so Sam, give a little bit of background. Let's pretend that no one knows exactly who you are, and they don't really know that much about Geek Girl. So why don't you give a little spin about all that before we get into some nitty-gritty stuff, you know?
Okay, so yeah, I'm Sam Johnson. I'm a comics writer. I kind of got my start by entering some talent searches. I placed second in a Wizard Comics magazine one back in the day, and then placed in another one as well. Kind of got hooked then. I've been getting published for about 10 years or so with my comics, The Almighties, the comedy super team. I co-write with Mike Gagnon. Carbracini Voodoo Junkie Hit Woman has appeared in anthology, Halloween anthology series of FX. And then my big one is Geek Girl, which is now on following its mini series and an issue 0, now on an ongoing series. And who Geek Girl is Ruby Kaye, is a hot popular college chick. She lands a pair of super tech glasses from the college brainiac on a drunken whim. Initially, she doesn't really know how to handle them, and they kind of make her super klutzy, her not being used to the super strength that they give her, and she kind of alienates her cool kid clique by knocking drinks over them, trying to demonstrate her powers, which they're incredulous to. But she doesn't alienate her best friend Summer, who's into superheroes, gets a costume made for her. Summer's a fashion designer at their college, and Ruby Kaye becomes a superheroine. And where we got to in the mini series was she'd stepped up, you know, really taken on the mantle, developed from her more sort of shallow, cool clique girl days, and stepped up. But as a result, took down this big bad lightning storm. It was trashing their city of Maine. Ruby took her down, but got electrocuted in the process, and that's where we find her at the beginning of the new collection, Geek Girl Crime War, in a coma, with Summer filling in for her as Geek Girl, or trying her best to at least.
Yeah, and I love how that's kind of developed and gone along. And one thing I was noticing was when I started reading this Crime Lord, right? What's that?
Crime War, yeah.
Crime War, yeah. I was loving how she's still wearing the big headphones with the like she can't move to an earbud, you know.
Yeah, well, Summer is, as I say, it's the glasses that give the powers. So Summer has a hold of these and is trying to sort of fill in for Ruby while she's out of action. But Summer doesn't have the natural propensity at superheroing that Ruby does, and so she's got these headphones on because she's in contact with Pitbull, the jock superhero of Maine, who's kind of mentoring her. But it's not going incredibly well. Like, again, having difficulty with gauging the super strength and the powers that the glasses endow their wearer with, which Ruby had got a reasonable handle on by the end of the miniseries arc. Summer starts the arc and the new one by trying to take down a mugger. She's flying down after him, chasing him down the high street, and trying to just gear it so she'll just sort of knock him into the wall without doing him too much harm, but knock him out. But she kind of misjudges it and sends him smashing through this hardware store window, and he is unconscious as a result. But the hardware store owner is more concerned about the damage she's done to his store and how she's going to pay for it.
What's really interesting is it adds a little bit of more of that realistic element to a comic book, which is a trend we've been seeing lately, you know?
Yeah, I mean, I hope, and certainly the reviews have kind of got this, that Ruby and Summer, they hopefully come across quite real, and their relationship is at the heart of it. As I say, you know, Ruby, part of the reason Summer is filling in as Geek Girl, which the name Geek Girl Summer gave Ruby ironically or jokingly, at least, because of her klutzy actions. Summer is filling in for her because she kind of feels guilty that she pushed Ruby into the whole superhero thing. So she's doing the best she can, and you know, the relationship of these two is at the heart of it. They are BFFs, but when Ruby does come out of the coma quite soon, but the direction she takes is possibly not what you would automatically expect. And also, when Summer pitches up at her door wearing the Geek Girl costume, Summer doesn't exactly get the reaction that she might have been hoping for.
Yeah, I liked that too. I liked that well, that's what I mean. Like you've got these characters that are grounded in what I'm going to say, grounded in reality, because they kind of act in a way that you might expect you and your circle of friends to act, and not so much in the way that the typical superhero, like Superman back in the day, might act. You know?
Yeah. I mean, that's part of what I like about the characters. They're flawed, and you know, the whole thing is the high concept, if you will, is Mean Girls meets superheroes. So you've very much got this college element integral to it, and although with where things are going in the new direction, which is coming in issue 5, that's kind of, well, it'll be a new direction, but there still will be. As I say, Ruby and Summer's relationship is at the heart of it, and that hopefully comes across as real. Yeah.
I just really like when she comes through the door and she's like, "What are you doing? You're wearing my costume." You know, like what's going on?
Yeah, because I mean, Summer is doing it with the best intentions, but Ruby's perspective is she didn't know Summer's going to be. This is in the beginning of chapter 2 of the Crime War. She didn't expect Summer to turn up in this costume. And Ruby sees this as, hang on, I kind of earned that. I wore that. I risked my life wearing that. I nearly died wearing that. And what are you doing wearing it? Whereas that is completely not Summer's point of view. She's doing it with all the best intentions. But again, where it kind of goes with the rest of the clique who had alienated themselves or had alienated Ruby from them. Now that Ruby has saved the frickin' city as Geek Girl, she's popular, so they want to be part of what's popular. So they kind of want to ingratiate themselves back with Ruby, but now see Summer as kind of, because of the way they think, they see Summer as kind of trying to cash in on the Geek Girl cachet, which is not what she's doing at all.
Yeah, she just feels like someone should have kept the mantle, you know, and kept going. So, you know.
Exactly. I mean, Summer is her dad's a big comic book fan. She has her dorm walls are adorned with like superheroes, including Neon Girl, who's the sort of first lady superhero of Maine where they live. So she gets all that stuff that we naturally get as comic fans. But the world that Ruby comes from, the cool kid clique, that's not kind of how they roll.
Yeah. And speaking of Neon Girl there, the superhero that was established in the city before, right?
Mm-hmm.
She, like I said, I've read like 1 through 3. I haven't fully read number 4 yet. Mm-hmm. But I'm kind of getting the impression she's not entirely happy with the idea of Geek Girl being around.
it's not that she's not happy with her. I mean, Neon Girl is kind of permanently angry anyway. Partly because, I mean, when we introduced her, it was, and this was how Ruby had to step up in the first place, is Lightning Storm, this new supervillain that came from nowhere in the miniseries, doing a lot of damage, basically fried Neon Girl, put her in a coma. Neon Girl was quite scarred physically from this, but came back to help Geek Girl and Pitbull stop Lightning Storm, and then Lightning Storm also destroyed one of her hands. So she's kind of, she's a bit pissed. But no, the anger that's happening in the Crime War arc, though Geek Girl is sort of connected, it's a frustration that there's this sort of quote unquote fake Geek Girl running around because Neon Girl wants Ruby Kaye to help her take down these new criminals that have come out of the League of Larcenists, which has happened because of the Lightning Storm damage that's trashed police stations, hospitalized superheroes. There's all kinds of weird and wonderful criminals coming out of the woodwork, and this League of Larcenists, headed by Pighead, the man who's had his brain fused with a pig's and with a face to match, is he's trying to make a name for his crew and build them up into the Legion of Larcenists. Got the tech to sort of pull off. Well, they've got a teleportation device, so they've got high-tech blasters, if you think sort of cable-style blasters, so they can pull bank jobs and then get out of there with this teleportation device. So Neon Girl is quite frustrated and wants a hand in taking these people down, and she wants the real Geek Girl. She doesn't want Geek Girl's tribute act.
I gotcha. So I was sort of taking that frustration in a way that was aimed at both, but it's really more aimed just at Summer. Gotcha.
Yeah, but in the context is what you're talking about is I believe near the start of chapter 2, where or maybe later on, but anyway, when Neon Girl's attempting to take down the League of Larcenists and they get away, so she's frustrated about that, and as I say, she needs a hand.
Yeah.
No pun intended, because she just had a hand fried.
That's true. Yeah, speaking of Pighead, I like him. He's quite the character, and I like how later on, what was it, in chapter 3 I think it was, where he was like, we got to come up with our own names. He goes, you don't think I'm gonna go by Pighead, do you?
Yeah, well, there's a little bit of friction with him and a new recruit called Terry, and Terry rubs Pighead up the wrong way, and the problem from the outset is that Pighead wants everyone to be all in and fully committed to building the League of Larcenists into the Legion of Larcenists, and he perceives Terry as being a little bit half-assed. He doesn't live in Maine, so he's kind of commuting in to, as someone put it in a previous interview I did, commuting in to do his super villainry, and he's just not fully committed, and he gets, when they're doling out code names, they've got masks that they're assigned to people, and they're looking for a mask that fits their character, and Pig at this point already has a very negative view of Terry, and so when he's looking at the masks, which all that's left at this point are Hulk Hogan and Terminator, he doesn't feel like these particularly fit, so he's trying to come up with a name for him, and then one of the other guys that's a new recruit mentions how his wife's made him have a vasectomy, so Pighead then saddles in the name Numbnuts, and things don't really much improve in their relationship from there, but Terry does find himself an ally in another of their recruits that comes in, Chromex, the pseudo street talking robot.
Yeah, I was just gonna bring up Chromex myself. Yeah. Where did the idea for Chromex come from? He's really interesting.
Well, it's I like to refer to him as an it rather than a he, but he's he. I've just said it. I don't know. I have a thing. I'm currently running, actually, for the second time, a Doom Patrol / Geek Girl giveaway, and the reason for that is partly to cross over the audience, and partly because of that. Because I I bring in my Doom Patrol Grant Morrison influence. So I've been able to, since being in Doom Patrol, I've been able to sort of think in weird mode, and Chromax is, as I say, a sort of pseudo street talking robot that I came up with as one of the kind of, not Doom Patrol directly inspired, but just being able to sort of, that sort of sensibility, and be able to think in the way that, the kind of characters that Morrison came up with for that, and that Gerard Way is doing now for the new run. So yeah, it's been quite helpful to be able to sort of tap into that weirdness. And Carboncini, Voodoo Junkie, Hitwoman is another one that already exists that will be coming into the pages of Zero now that we're ongoing. Coming to the pages of Geek Girl now that we're ongoing. And again, that's sort of born of being able to think in weird mode, having had the pleasure of Grant Morrison's Doom Patrol arc.
Yeah, that's kind of what I was going to get at. I could see a lot of that influence in there with in these books, And speaking of, you watched the show, right?
I've seen bits of most episodes, but it's not actually available here in the UK.
Oh, so, really?
Yeah, the DC channel isn't available here, and I was kind of expecting to happen what happened with Titans, which was that it came on Netflix hereafter, but that hasn't happened. So there's no sign of a DVD release either. So I know it's good. I've seen, they trailed, I think, pretty much every episode, so I've seen plenty of clips, but unfortunately haven't been able to watch it yet.
Okay, well, you're in for a treat when you finally do get to see it.
I see they are nailing it, and I mean, I really like April Bowlby, I think her name is, or as Rita Farr. The casting of the Chief, Timothy Dalton, seems good. There's so much to like. If you're into Doom Patrol, there's so much to love about it, and it really taps into the Grant Morrison run. So yeah, I really, really, really want to see it. But I mean, the same time as that came out, we had the Gerard Way thing. What was it? Umbrella Academy?
Yes,
so
yes.
That was on Netflix, so I saw that, and that's as I say, there's a similarity there. Gerard Way is like me, inspired by Grant Morrison's Doom Patrol as well as other incarnations of Doom Patrol, and that was great. That was really enjoyed that.
Yeah, that was fantastic. I barely knew. I mean, I didn't read those comics, the Umbrella, and so it was really interesting. I mean, I knew about them. I knew about the characters. I knew what was going on, but I'd never actually sat down and had read them, So I was pretty fresh going into that series when I watched it on Netflix, and I really loved it. It was fantastic.
Yeah, and I mean, another thing that was great about it is I think some of the casting really brought something to it, like Jessica Jones, who I think fantastic. The guy that played Klaus and the guy that played the kid, the 52-year-old or whatever age was the body, both of those two I thought were excellent.
Yes, I loved that. His mannequin girlfriend.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, again, I don't think that kind of thing would exist without the Doom Patrol influence.
Yeah, that was great. But yeah, I got to tell you, Sam, you're in for a real treat when you finally get to see the Doom Patrol. Because I can't believe that DC Universe isn't worldwide. That's crazy.
Yeah, I don't know quite what's going on with DC Universe, because they had Swamp Thing and then they cancelled that before it had even come out, or maybe they didn't cancel it, but I think they effectively did cancel it, because I think
they did,
second series, but Doom Patrol is getting a second series. That's
they
cool.
are, yeah. It's a little crazy. I actually just watched the Swamp Thing, and I don't really get it. I don't understand why they decided there wouldn't be, like, before it even was released, they decided there wouldn't be an audience, and it's done really well. And what I really like about it is there's an overall arc of like the bad guy in town and his sort of like criminal corporation, which spans the entire 10 or 11 episodes, whatever it was. But also each individual episode has a monster of the week kind of thing. There's something that happens to create some kind of creature or altered human or something weird that Swamp Thing and the girl have to solve. And by the end of that one episode, they fixed it. It's over, you know? So I really liked that aspect of it. It has both the overall arch that goes through the entire series, but also that thing where each episode can be self-contained, and you've got a beginning, middle, and end dealing with this one element, you know? And so it was kind of like, I called it the Monster of the Week thing, you know? And I really liked that, because that's the kind of television that I prefer, is where I can watch the one episode and it's done, but then there's little things that sort of trickle on throughout all of them that sort of connect them together, you know?
Yeah. I mean, I'm sure they've got the reasons, but I have no idea.
Yeah, I know.
Those were, but I mean, the latest thing is the Sony and Spider-Man, and I haven't properly read into that. But as a layman, if you've just had your biggest hit ever, you don't then pull the license. I would have thought.
Well, a lot of people are misinterpreting that. I actually saw the.
All right.
Because my father was just talking with me today about it, because we trade in stocks on the New York Stock Exchange and stuff, and so we're constantly keeping up with all the news from these companies, especially Disney, because we're pretty heavily invested in Disney financially. Right. And what it really is that Sony thinks that with Venom and stuff that they can take Spider-Man in a direction that's different than where Disney wants to go with the standalone films, okay? So Sony's not going to renew the contract for standalone films. So they're going to take Spider-Man and put him in the Venom universe and go in their direction. Sony is. Well, Disney can still have Spider-Man, but only in other MCU projects. He can't be a standalone film. So Tom Holland as Spider-Man is still going to show up in the Avengers. He might be in a Doctor Strange movie, but that movie will not be titled Spider-Man. He'll just show up as a side character, you know? So he's not out of the MCU. It's just they're no longer going to make standalone films. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I kind of, from what I'd heard, I thought that might be the case, but it still seems, you know, I mean, the thing with the two Spider-Man films we've had since it being Sony and Marvel have been very much integrated with the Marvel Cinematic Universe. So you would have had two completely different films without that. So Sony are like, okay, we want to go in our own direction. But again, if you've just had two very well received, very, you know, financially successful films, it seems slightly strange, especially given that, I mean, I didn't even bother seeing Venom. It looked rubbish to me. I know some people liked it, but I didn't fancy it.
Well, it's not the Venom we're used to. You know what I mean? It's still not the comic book Venom.
No.
So it's a good movie in its own right, but it's not the Venom that we know from the comic books, you know?
No. I mean, was it completely they didn't even mention Spider-Man in that?
Actually, I don't think that they did. It's been a while since I've seen it. But
got the spider on his chest, has it?
No, he doesn't. No.
So yeah, I don't know. Anyway, good luck to him.
Yeah. But the thing is, I guess financially, the whole deal was that Disney got very little of the money, even though this last Spider-Man made $1 billion.
Okay.
So their part of it was, when they went back to the table, was let's split it 50-50. You know what I mean? We'll still produce, because basically, like, Sony wasn't doing any of the work, and they got most of the money.
All right. Okay.
So Disney was kind of like, look how successful we've been with us producing it. So why don't we now split the money 50-50 and keep going? And Sony was like, oh no, if we make them ourselves, we'll get the whole $1 billion. But they're missing the point that they're not going to be able to make a movie that's that good.
Yeah.
But whatever, you know.
Yeah. Whatever. But still on Spidey, though, I will mention my favourite book at the moment is Superior Spider-Man. I really enjoyed the original run, and now it's come back. It really, like the original run, it's quite unpredictable, and Yeah, really, really enjoy. As I say, I mean, Doom Patrol it generally is my favorite book, but right now that Superior Spider-Man is kicking ass. Christos Gage, the writer, really, really kicking it.
See, I've only been reading the Amazing Spider-Man. I have to. So catch me up here. Is Superior still Osborn?
Doc Ock.
Doc Ock. That's right. Sorry, it was Doc Ock. You're right.
Yeah,
Yes.
but it's a different ballgame now because he's kind of like proved himself as he's changed, and he's set up in San Francisco, and he's kind of known as the San Francisco Spider-Man. But people didn't know, or the general public didn't know, that it was Doc Ock, and it's only now in the latest issue that that's kind of come out.
Wow.
But Spider-Man and other superheroes, having seen his actions, have given him their approval. But obviously, some people are going to be like, "Oh, it's Doc Ock." So it's interesting. I say you don't know where it's going to go, and it's great. Really, really, really into it. And the supporting cast, Maria, who was in the original Superior Spider-Man series, is back in it, and Horizon Labs is an integral part of it, which was a big part of the Superior run and Amazing Spider-Man at that time. And yeah, just really digging it.
Nice. I'll have to give it a go. I'll have to check it out. Maybe when it comes on trade, I can get it all in one day.
Yeah. I think the first of the new series is probably in trade now. So yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I'll have to check that out. Because I get a lot of the Star Wars, I get Transformers, so it's kind of like I don't add a whole lot. I've always been getting Spider-Man, and I just started getting the new X-Men stuff because Jonathan Hickman's back.
Yeah.
And so it's kind of like I don't want to add too much more to my pile, you know.
Yeah. And yeah, I mean it's every week that X-Men stuff as well, I think.
It is now, yeah.
But Amazing Spider-Man I'm enjoying as well. I like that the sort of mystery bad guy that's the bandaged bad guy that's coming to the store, and there's some good stuff coming out from Marvel at the moment. Valkyrie, the new Jane Foster book, I'm enjoying that.
That's going to come soon. Yep.
Well, it's out. The second issue came out this week, and Future Foundation, off the back of Secret Wars, where you've got the Fantastic Four, sort of mini Fantastic Four, if you will, trying to find the pieces of the Molecule Man and put them back together, and you've got the evil Reed Richards in it from the multiverse. Some good stuff. I'm really, really enjoying Marvel at the moment.
Nice, yeah. I didn't get any of the Fantastic Four stuff, but I've been seeing the characters pop up in other things, and it's kind of making me, I want to know what happened in some of these old stories and go and get some of the trades or something, you know.
Yeah. No, there's plenty of good stuff coming out.
You know, I was gonna say back when we were talking about characters like yours that are sort of have this part of them that's grounded in reality and everything. Do you get Amazon Prime? Did you see The Boys?
I don't have Amazon Prime. I've got a friend that has it, so I'm planning on watching it. But I think that's Garth Ennis, so I think that's possibly
done. It's done really well. The show is just brilliant. I liked it.
Okay, yeah, I know it's been very well received, but I think that's quite a harder edged.
It is, yes. It's
a
lot harder edged than what yours is. Yes.
But no, I'd like to check it out. I like Preacher, and I'll be checking it out.
It was interesting to hear my brother, because he didn't even know it was comic books. He had no clue what was going on when he went right into the Amazon Prime show, and he was just, I'm loving this. And since I've told him about it being a comic, that he's like, I got to go back and check out some of these. So I might grab a trade or two for him so he can check those out, because he had no idea that it was actually something before the show, you know.
Right. And I mean, often I don't know. I haven't read The Boys, and obviously I haven't seen the show. But often the TV shows don't take that much from the comic anyway, so it wouldn't be just rehashing. I mean, Jessica Jones.
Exactly.
Very little of that is from the comics, apart from obviously the Kilgrave stuff.
Yeah, exactly. But it gives you more rounded view of those characters and where they're coming from, you know.
Yeah.
So Sam, what are your? Do you want to give away any future plans? Like, what do you got coming down? You've got another Kickstarter that you're going to do at some point, right?
Yeah, I mean that'll be next year. I mean, what's impending is, well, I mean, we've got the Geek Girl Crime War trade paperback is out now, or out August 26th, depending on whenever this goes out, and that's available at Amazon. I mentioned I'm running a Geek Girl Doom Patrol giveaway. So if you go to geekgirlcomics.com and go in the news section, you can find that. And it's basically, if you join the mailing list, you get entered into this. You can win all kind of Geek Girl limited variants and Doom Patrol stuff, including a Doom Patrol collection, which has 25 of Grant Morrison's issues in, which is some great stuff. So geekgirlcomics.com for that, and to get to the mailing list, and that also links to buy in the Crime War trade. The original trade's available, and then what we're finishing up at the moment is issue 5, which is going to be a jump on issue coming out probably late September, which is the new direction, which off the back of the Crime War trade, where we end up, there's a character, Johnny Carlisle, gets introduced during it, who's a kind of morally dubious weapons dealer, or high-tech weapons dealer, who may or may not have indiscriminately provided the legal arsonists with their kit, which is another reason why Neon Girl's angry, and is angry at him because she thinks he did. But she kind of gives him a telling off, and he kind of decides to take things in a new direction. So what he decides to do is propose a super team with Geek Girl as part of it. So that is going to be the new direction that kicks in issue 5. But as with how I've been playing things so far, it's expect the unexpected in terms of where that goes. We're not going to now sort of see just a straightforward, this is Team Geek Girl going off on missions. It's going to take some twists.
Yeah. Interesting. Yeah, I see. I'm still flipping through the 4th book there, and I see her and Neon Girl having some good times there together.
Well, that sounds a bit lesbianic, but good times.
Oh yes, not like that. I mean, come on.
You can see how it could sound like that.
Yeah, I mean, smashing down walls and taking out the bad guys.
Yes, Geek Girl and Neon Girl, and another character who gets introduced, kind of team up, which is kind of where Johnny gets this idea of the super team from. Team up to take on the now legion of larcenists, and it's quite a kick-ass chapter, that.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to really pay attention when we're done with this, when I finish it up. Yeah. But hey, so let's see. So that's a lot coming down the pipe there, Sam, man.
Yeah, at the moment, I'm going to say the trade for end of August, the issue 5 for end of September. But the whole creative team's on board for the ongoing. So we're working on I'm working on issue 6, and once Carlos is ready when he's finished what he's doing, he's going to be getting on issue 6. So yeah, there will be a new Kickstarter next year, and the date of that will be publicized at the back of issue 5 when that hits. And that, again, if you get on the Geek Girl mailing list, you'll find out exactly when that hits and where you can get it.
And then the contest a little bit. That's a very generous contest, doing 25 issues there along with all your stuff. How long is that going? Like, how long do people have before the deadline of entering?
Well, it's designed to run through the course of the release of the trade and Geek Girl 5. So, it's all kind of cross-promoting Doom Patrol with Geek Girl. So, yeah, it's running now, and it runs until, at the moment, the intention is for issue 5 to come out. As I say, it's not a finalized definite date yet, but the intention is to come out the last Wednesday in September. So the aim is for the contest to finish around then. But also, you can enter it multiple times, because once you've entered it, there's like a link to sharing it on. It's like a viral giveaway. There's a link to sharing it on Facebook and retweeting it. And if you do that, you get like 3 extra entries. So you could potentially, even if you've already entered number one, you can increase your chances of winning, but also you could potentially win more than one thing from it.
That's pretty good. It's a good idea to do that kind of stuff because it encourages people to share everything and pass it around the internet, and that's a win-win for everybody. You know, it helps you out and it gets them more entries, so they get what they want. You know.
Yeah. And also, as I say, that the part of what's behind it is there is this as we've hit on a couple of times, this Doom Patrol influence. Things are going to get weirder. So if you're a fan of Doom Patrol, I think you'll find the New Direction quite up your street.
Yeah, and they can find your stuff on Comixology, right?
Yeah, the Geek Girl stuff's all on Comixology. At the time of recording this, hopefully the Crime War trade paperback is on there for the 26th, the same as it's on Amazon. That may not be the case because the 26th is a Monday. It's not New Comic Book Day. But
Gotcha.
anyhow, if you go on there and it's not there again, you go to the Geek Girl site, join the mail list. You'll get a link to it whenever, just as soon as it is available. It'll be on Drive-Thru Comics as well for digital. But geekgirlcomics.com will link to everything as and when it's available, as will the mailing list.
In the UK, do you do New Comic Book Day on Wednesday as well?
Yeah, it's the same.
Okay.
It's good because it used to be we were sort of behind with it, and now they've managed to coordinate it so we get it basically the same time as you, which is cool because you want to get them. If you're particularly looking forward to something, you want to get it. You don't want to be reading about it and waiting to it 2 days later. So no, they aligned that quite a bit of time away ago now, and it's good.
That's cool. That's good. Yeah. So let me get this straight. Yeah. So it's about 2:30 going on 3 here, 2:45 p.m. on what do you got there? Are you
so 7:45 p.m.
So you are about 5 hours, right?
5 hours, yeah.
Yeah, that's what I thought. Yeah, about 5 hours difference. Okay.
Yeah.
That's good.
Really good. We're not burning the midnight oil.
Yeah. I kind of figured because I had just talked to a guy who does a Star Wars podcast in the UK, and he was exactly 5 hours. So I kind of figured you guys were near each other.
Yeah.
He does Blue Harvest, the Star Wars action figure collecting podcast.
Okay.
Mark was his name, yeah.
Cool.
But I get a lot. It's funny. I got on Twitter and everything. I'm always amazed at how many people I talk to and converse with back and forth that are from the UK, more so than people that are here in the States.
Okay.
And I'm like, I just don't understand why the people in the UK are so much more into communicating and talking and chatting back and forth and collaborating with things. But you guys are great over there. I don't know what it is, but
I can't really answer that one, John.
I know. I don't know what it is, but I have a good time though. It's great,
Cool.
Because I just enjoy chatting with everybody, I mean, you know that, Sam. I like catching up and finding out what's going on,
Yeah.
Well, Sam, do you want to give any last minute thoughts or anything before we wrap up here? Anything I missed that we should have covered?
I think we've covered the Crime War and we've covered the New Direction pretty well. Another thing to say with the Geek Girl mailing list, if you want to see some stuff before you're buying any of this, you join the Geek Girl mailing list, geekgirlcomics.com. You get a free digital preview comic which previews both the Crime War and New Direction issue. So that's a pretty good jump on point.
That's cool. That's good. Again, a generous thing to do,
Well, I'm not saying, to borrow from a British comedian, I'm not saying I'm Jesus. That's for other people to say. Richard Herring, that is, so there's no copyright problems.
And Sam, why don't you give them your Facebooks and Twitter and all that stuff so everyone can follow along here?
Yeah, well, I think probably the easiest way to go, whether you're joining the groups or finding me, whatever, is Geek. It's always any search for Geek Girl. It's Geek-Girl, because there is a book. There was a series of books called Geek Girl, which is completely different. So Geek-Girl comic book. Put that into Facebook, and it will bring up the Geek Girl fan pages and the Geek Girl group. And if you want to add my personal Facebook, you'll find me posting in there. So that should do you. Twitter is specifically Geek Girl is Ruby _K, KAYE _ or DA Sam Johnson is mine. And there's Instagram as well, Sam Johnson Comics. Post some Geek Girl preview material on there. And yeah, I think that should about do you.
Great. All right, cool. I'll put a bunch of links to all that down in the description when I post this. So if you're listening to it, you'll find it down below on the website. And all right, I guess that's pretty much covers it, right, Sam?
I think it does. I think our work here is done.
Well, hey, man, I really appreciate you coming back on. Thanks a lot for, being a return guest. This is really cool. I always love catching up with you.
Yeah, you too. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, I always like talking Geek Girl Comics and then catching up on different things that we've seen in the comic book industry and what's on television, things like that. So it's really nice chatting with you, Sam.
You too.
All right, man, friend. Well, till next time, I guess we'll just keep it geeky out there, right?
Absolutely.
Thanks a lot, Sam. I appreciate you having you on.
Cheers, John.